So if you want to get married in Canada, then there are a few steps that you must follow to get the right documents, from applying for a marriage license to finding a marriage officiant to marry you to ultimately obtaining your marriage certificate that you can then submit for your spousal sponsorship application. So I'll try to cover these steps using the example of the province of Ontario, but you can still use the general guidelines from this video for other provinces as well. Obviously, each province can have its own unique requirements, but the general steps and the way this works is still pretty much the same. So we'll only cover Ontario in this case, but I'll leave links for other provinces in the description below that will help you get started. So before you get married in Canada, you'll need a valid marriage license from the province where you want to get married. So if you want to get married in Ontario, you'll need a valid Ontario marriage license. And you can obtain that from your local municipality in Ontario, which in most cases will be the municipality or the city in Ontario where you live. So to begin, you'll get to this page. It has the general instructions for Ontarians on all the steps from where to apply for a license, the application forms, documents required, and the links to the appointments. And I'm going to link it in the description below. So if you scroll down here, I'll skip the basic information on minimum age and all that stuff. You can read all about it. But you'll get to this section, how to get a marriage license. So here you'll have generic instructions on how this is going to work for most municipalities. You first fill out an online application form, which is your marriage license application. Then you sign it, your partner signs it, and then you collect your documents. Then you make an appointment at your local city hall. If they allow walk-ins, then do that. And then on the day of your appointment, you go there, you get your marriage license issued, and that's it. And this process can vary from one municipality to the other, but the general structure of the process is still going to be pretty much the same. And that's why it's important to first find the website of your municipality, then go to that website and you'll be able to do your application in that website. So to find the website for your municipality, you scroll down and here is the link, find a local city hall, town hall or municipal office. And if you scroll down here under list of municipalities, this is where you can search for your local municipality. So for example, if you want to get married in Markham, then you simply search for Markham here. And if a municipality exists, then it's going to show up here. As you can see, City of Markham showed up here. So you can click this link and now you are inside the website for the municipality of Markham. And if you look around for a little bit, you'll be able to find the section for marriage license application. So as you can see, here is a section for permits, licenses and taxes. If I click on this, I can locate a wedding services option, and here I can click on marriage licenses, and then all instructions for the online application and the rest of the steps are given here. Same thing you can do for the city of Kitchener or Brampton or London or whichever city you prefer, and then you'll get to the website most likely for the municipality for that city, and there you can find specific instructions on how to apply for a marriage license from that city. And most of these municipality websites will either have their own marriage license application form, which you can fill out through their website, meaning digital form, or they will ask you to upload a PDF of the generic marriage application form. And just keep in mind, wherever you applied for your marriage license from in Ontario, you don't necessarily have to get married in that place in Ontario. As long as it's Ontario, you can get married anywhere regardless of where you applied your marriage license from. So even if you got your marriage license from, say, Brampton, you can get married in any other city in Ontario. You can get married in Toronto, or you can get married in Markham, Mississauga, doesn't matter. It has to be inside Ontario. So to understand this better, let's take a specific example and see how it's done. Let's say you want to get married in Toronto. So first step is to find the website for the municipality of Toronto. So to begin, you'll get to this list of Ontario municipalities page. I'm going to link it in the description below. If you scroll down, under the search table option, you are simply going to type Toronto and the City of Toronto website is going to show up. Then you open this and you'll get to the Toronto website. And then here under the search bar, you can either search directly for marriage licenses, or you can even find it from this I want to drop down bar. So just drop this down under apply, click on more, and here you'll get to marriage licenses. So open this and here are your steps on how to apply for a marriage license. So under step 1, apply for a marriage license, if you scroll down, here is a link where you can complete the online application. So you click on start and here you just start filling out this online application form. Very straightforward to fill out. For example, intended place of marriage. So this is the place where you want to get married, all those details here. Then under applicants information, so you're two people getting married. So let's start with the would-be groom information. Doesn't matter what order you fill this out. Let's say I'm the groom. So I'll fill out my details here, my parents' details and my current residential address in Canada. Then under the joint application section, this is your partner to whom you're getting married to. So let's say this is my would-be wife. So all her details here similarly. Then simply provide your email address here and then submit the application. Once you're done, you'll receive a confirmation number or an application number that you'll use when you'll make your appointment. And then once you're done with the application, you simply print this out and then sign it, meaning both partners should sign it with pen, wet ink, original signatures, because you'll need to take this to the city hall on the day of your appointment. And they can also print this out for you there, but if you want to avoid some raised eyebrows and some eye rolls, just be prepared, save yourself some time, print this out and sign it and be ready. The next step after filling this application form would be to book your appointment. And just note here, they've mentioned walk-ins will not be accepted. So for Toronto, you'll have to make an appointment. So if you scroll down, they've given an option to book an appointment. So you simply click this. Here, they just ask you to complete the online marriage license application. We already did that. And then have 2 pieces of government issued identification ready, because you'll need to take these to the city hall on the day of your appointment, and we'll get to the documents in a second. So if you continue to click this, begin marriage license appointment booking process, then click on step 3. Now under step 3, this applies to divorced applicants or who have been married before. If this is your case, then depending on whether you were married inside or outside Canada, you will have to provide these documents. So if you were divorced in Canada, then you'll have to provide these documents as well. So on the day of your appointment, apart from all the other documents, you'll also have to take these. And if you were divorced outside of Canada, then you will have to provide a valid foreign divorce authorization or an FDA from the province of Ontario. So for applying for an FDA, you can just click this link here, and it will give you all the instructions that you need to apply for an FDA. So as it says here, in the case of a divorce outside of Canada, you'll have to obtain these documents mentioned here and then send them to the address of Service Ontario. So see if you have an appointment available, otherwise you can just walk in. You will have to submit these documents to the Service Ontario first, then you wait to receive your FDA, and after that you can apply for your marriage license, because when you go to the city hall to apply for to get your marriage license, you will have to present this FDA, otherwise you won't be issued your marriage license. Okay, so again, coming back to this page, assuming you never married before, click on continue to book an appointment online. This is where you select the dates that work best for you, and hopefully these dates are before your intended date of marriage. So select the slot, put your phone number, names of the applicants, and your application number, which was on your marriage license application form that you printed. Soon after, you'll either get a text or an email that will just confirm your appointment, and you'll also get a link to cancel the appointment if you needed to. So on the day of your appointment, you'll have to take 2 pieces of original ID for both applicants to the appointment center. And both of you don't really have to go to get your marriage license. Just one of you can go, as long as you have the signed application form by both. And as long as you have 2 pieces of ID for both, just one of you can also go. So here's a list of documents that they'll accept. I'm going to leave this in the description below so you can refer to that. But make sure that at least one of the documents that you take is a photo ID. Both photo IDs can also work, but at least one should be a photo ID. If you're a new immigrant, you can also use your COPR. If you have a PR card, that also works. And all the other documents clearly mentioned here. Your SIN is not going to work, your health card is not going to work, and any expired documentation will not work. Okay. And by the way, just to clarify, you don't have to be a permanent resident or citizen to get married in Canada. As long as you have a valid status in Canada, you can get married as long as you can provide one of these acceptable documents. Okay. So again, on the day of your appointment, you bring 2 pieces of original ID, original, not photocopy, from both applicants. Then a signed marriage license application form signed by both applicants, and if applicable, your divorce documents. And then this process is going to take about 30 minutes or so, depending on how the queue is on that day, and you'll get the marriage license issued right there and then. Then from the date of issue of your marriage license, you will have 90 days or 3 months to get married. So best to find a marriage date in that time frame. You cannot get married on an expired marriage license, and that's why the validity of your marriage license is important. So now that you have your marriage license, the next step would be to find a marriage officiant, one who is authorized by the province of Ontario to legally perform marriages. And finding a marriage officiant is not that hard. A simple Google search for wedding officiants in Ontario or marriage officiants in Ontario should bring up a couple of results. So for example, I've just searched for wedding officiants in Ontario on Google, and I got these results. So if I scroll down, I get to this website, weddingwire.ca. This is just an example. You don't have to go with this website. But if you click this, here, if you just select your city, then it's going to give you the options available, meaning the wedding officiants available for that city. And then you can read more about them, you can check out their reviews, and then if you like what you see, you can contact them, find their price and their package deals, and then you can go forward from there. And this is just one link. If you scroll down under businesses section in Google, there's bunch more options here. So if you just click on more businesses here, you'll get a huge list of wedding officiants available in Ontario, and pretty much most of them will have their own websites. So visit their pages, read about them, familiarize yourself with the packages that they offer, And if you like what you see, then you can contact them to find out more. And you can also narrow your search results by religion. So let's say you follow Islam. So you can search for something like Islamic or Muslim wedding officiants in Ontario. I'm just giving you some keywords. You'll have to do some playing around to get to the right results. So important thing is to make sure that your officiant is registered. So again, coming back to this ontario.ca page, under marriage officiants, there's two kinds. One is the registered marriage officiant and the other one is the civil marriage officiant. So the Google search method that I was showing you will most likely lead you to the registered marriage officiants who are recognized by their religious body as entitled to perform religious marriages in Ontario. And you can also use a civil marriage officiant, for example, a judge, a municipal clerk, an Ontario associate judge. The options are given here. And to find out these people, you can contact your local city hall. So again, the same website for local municipalities that I showed you. Go to your city and see if a judge is available or a municipal clerk is available to perform the wedding. And most people end up selecting a registered marriage officiant who's familiar with their religion or also practices that religion, who's also registered, because that makes the most sense. So to find out that your marriage officiant is registered, you can get to this link. And here, if you scroll down, it's basically a database of all the registered marriage officiants in Ontario. So it's an Excel file, you just download this, and here's a list of the registered marriage officiants in Ontario. It's usually going to be up to date. You can search for the name of the marriage officiant once you've found them through your Google search. Try to search their name here and see if it shows up. So for example, I search for wedding officiants Ontario on Google and I get these options. And let's say I like this one, the marrying lady who's a wedding officiant. So first thing I'll do is I'll visit her website, and then if I like what I see, I'm going to look up her name in this list that I showed you. So her name on her website is Tade Kredger. So I'm going to filter on first name and I am going to type her first name Tade, and a bunch of Tades pop up. So let's select this one and see if we get the list. So as you can see, her name pops up and her first name and last name match the name that we saw on the website. So this just further confirms the fact that she's a registered marriage officiant. So you can choose her. So once you have your Ontario marriage license, then you can get married anywhere in Ontario that you like. You can have a marriage ceremony at home, a restaurant, a banquet hall, a place of worship such as a mosque, a temple, or even a park. And depending on how big or small you want your event to be, you can do some search on Google to find out venues and their pricing and their availability. Also, you can ask this question to your marriage officiant because they will be familiar with this scenario. So they might be able to guide you on which places to select depending on your needs. So on the day of your wedding, the person marrying you, meaning your officiant, will visit the place you want to get married at. They will perform the marriage ceremony, complete the marriage license, have you and your witnesses sign the marriage license. One witness to sign for each partner. So a minimum of 5 people have to be present at your wedding. Obviously the couple, the wedding officiant, and 2 witnesses. And these witnesses don't necessarily have to be your friends and family. They can also be complete strangers as long as they can attest and acknowledge to the fact that the wedding indeed took place. And these witnesses don't necessarily have to be permanent residents or Canadian citizens. As long as they have a legal status in Canada at the time that they're acting as a witness, it should be fine. They just need to be of a sound, healthy mind at the time that they're acting as a witness. So all that glug 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 and can wait until after all the signatures and the proceedings are done. So once your officiant marries you, they'll issue you a record of solemnization of your marriage. This is not your marriage certificate. This is simply a marriage receipt. So don't submit this when you submit your spousal sponsorship application because they'll return it right away. They've clearly mentioned in the instructions not to submit record of solemnization. You will actually have to submit a marriage certificate. So once your marriage officiant completes the marriage license, what they do is they mail that marriage license to Service Ontario, and then you wait for about 10 to 12 weeks, meaning about 3 months, and then you can apply for your marriage certificate, your actual marriage certificate online. And you can also ask your marriage officiant to see if you can expedite this process. So sometimes marriage officiants will ask you to also provide to them on the day of your wedding a letter of explanation, which simply has details about how this is also for immigration purposes. And what your marriage officiant might do is submit the marriage license along with that letter of explanation to Service Ontario, which might help expedite the process. But don't count on it. Expect it to take at least 3 months in Ontario. For other provinces, British Columbia or Alberta, the wait times might be less. But for Ontario, it takes about 3 months. So once you've waited for 10 to 12 weeks in Ontario, then you can begin the process for applying for your marriage certificate. So to do that, you'll get to this page. I'm going to link it in the description below. This is where you apply for your marriage certificate. As you can see, the marriage certificate option is listed here. Click on begin application, and this is where you start filling out the application. So here is the applicant name. So since you are the one who's applying, you can just write your name here. Doesn't really matter whether it's the bride or the groom. This is just the person who's applying for the marriage certificate. Then enter your postal code, hit next. Then provide your Canadian mailing address, list your phone numbers, and then select this option if it applies to you. Let's just go with no, hit next. Then here you select the option of marriage. Did the marriage take place in Ontario? So yes. Then here you enter your place and date of marriage. So make sure this information matches the information that you entered when you filled out your marriage license application. Then party to the marriage. So these are the details of the two people getting married. So details of one partner here, details of another partner here, their place of birth, date of birth. Then what is your relationship? So you can just select self because you are the one who is applying. Then here you'll have two options to choose from: a marriage certificate. So this is your actual certificate, a short form version for Ontario. So you can simply order this, and then when you are doing your spousal sponsorship, you can upload a copy of this and it should work. But you can also order this long form version. This is basically going to be a copy of your marriage license, but it is going to be registered. So it's going to have certificate number and everything, and it will say marriage license at the top, but it is going to be your marriage certificate. This is the long form version of your Ontario marriage certificate. So you can also upload this in the online portal when you submit your spousal sponsorship application. So this was just to explain that both these options will work, but what most applicants end up doing is choosing this first option, the short form one. This is the standard Ontario marriage certificate, and it will have all these details such as both of your names, your birthplace, place of marriage, date of marriage, and sign of the registrar and a registration number. So this is a valid Ontario marriage certificate and it will work. But for some reason, if you're not able to obtain this, then you can also order the long form. The reason why I am discussing this is because applicants have had issues in the past where they submitted the short form version but IRCC requested the long form version, or they submitted the long form version and IRCC then requested the short form version. So this should not happen, but in case if you want to be extra cautious, you can also order a copy of both of these and submit them together for your spousal sponsorship application. This is probably going to be overkill, so don't really need to do that. You can just order the short form and it should work. So here's the online portal. Inside your application, the principal applicant's account, if you scroll down under supporting documents, under additional supporting documents, if you search for marriage, there is actually a category for marriage certificate. So you can simply upload your Ontario marriage certificate here. Make sure it is less than 4 megabytes and one of these acceptable formats, and the portal will accept it. So once you're done with your wedding, some of you will probably start to think about your spousal sponsorship application. And that's when I may pop up in your YouTube feed when you start to do your search online. So here's a playlist that might help you get started. You can add this to your watch later folder. But for now, congratulations on your upcoming wedding and happy honeymooning. I hear Mexico, Maldives, Greece, or Hawaii are very nice this time of year or any time of year. So I hope you have a fun wedding.